Problem solving and decision making. Problem solving and decision making belong together. You cannot solve problem without making a decision. There are two main types of decision makers. Some people use a systematic rational approach. Others are more intuitive. They go with their emotions or a gut feeling about the right approach. They may have highly creative ways to address the problem but cannot explain why they have chosen this approach. In this problem solving, there are 6 steps in the process. 1. Identify the problem. In order to solve a problem, we must first determine what the problem actually is. In this situation, we need to use a rational approach to determine what the problem is. There are some questions we might ask include, like what have I observed? What was I doing at the time the problem occurred? Is this a problem in itself or a symptom of a deeper underlying problem? What information do I need? What have we already tried to address this problem? Second is search for alternatives. It is important to identify possible evaluate the outcome. Whenever you have implemented a decision, you need to evaluate the results. The outcomes may give valuable advice about decision-making process itself. This information will be useful in improving the company's response the next time a similar decision has to be made.
The next report is pitfalls of decision making and pitfalls of problem solving. So pitfalls of decision making, there are 5 need to avoid. First is a lack of a clear guidance. Next is unclear purpose. And then define the meeting, lack of autonomy, and last is wrong people or wrong place. So lack of clear guidance. So it is the one-off conversation and random interruption prevent any real work from getting done because people are unsure of their decision-making authority. So in making decision, dapat clear atong guidance. Like for example, ang mga administrators, so naa sila yung mga clear guidance sa usa ka leader para sila select sila kung unsay mas maayo sa usa ka group or sa usa ka agency. And then second is unclear purpose. So not understanding the why behind decision making is taken too. Like for example, if you go to a place where you don't know, you don't have a map. So you want to know where you're going so you can determine the best route to get there. So otherwise naka wasting time lang. So you should clear your purpose in making decisions so that dili siya wasted. Na siya purpose ang mga hitabo, na siya progress. And then define the meeting. So one way to make sure you don't walk away from the next meeting with your eyes crossed is to know the type of meeting that will take place. So you should define your meeting or define your problem or in making decisions. So you should define it first so that ma-clear imuha kung unsa gid imuhang purpose, unsa gid imuhang decision nga imong buhaton. Next is lack of autonomy. It is relying on other people's input as basis for your own decision making is dependent. Whereas gathering input to broaden your knowledge base so you can make your own choice is independent. It is a copy-paste approach. So in making decisions, you should avoid this lack of autonomy because you're always relying other people input. So you should not in making decision avoid that. And then last is wrong people or wrong place. So many meetings go through an iterative process simply because the wrong people are in the room. So if you require strategic decision, then you need the strategic leader. So in making decisions, so dapat imong people involved in there is right people or right place nga imong pag-aadtuan or in making decision so that ang process sa imong making decision is good, maayo. So and then next is pitfalls in problem solving. So there are only I have some pitfalls. So wrong people involvement, problem isn't clear, there is no data, there is no time, and last you tackle the wrong cause. So in wrong people involvement, if the right people are not involved from the start, your problem may not be solved as quickly or efficiently as you want, which could make the rest of your process not good. So in problem solving, you should involve those people correctly, right people, because if you tackle the wrong people in from the start, so ang process sa imuhang making decision kay dili maayo, so not for good talaga siya. And then second is the problem isn't clear. So sometimes the problem is more lack of coherence about what actually needs to be done rather than any direct issues with the ability of the team. So If they have no clear starting point, it will be tough to prevent the issue returning. So problem needs to be articulated clearly to indicate exactly what the issue. So in problem solving, so some pitfalls, you should clear your problem. Dapat klaro ang problema para klaro pud ang problem solving nga mahitabo. So and then there is no data, lack of data. So you should be able to get to work identifying the cause and solving the problem. You've not collected any hard data on it. If you start to make improvements now, it will be impossible to know when you've done enough to achieve an acceptable defect rate, and it won't be possible to show how much you've reduced the defect rate by. So there you should, if there is no data, lack of data, ang results sa in problem solving is wala, lack yun siya. So we need to gather data nga ma-collect na to in problem solving. And then there is no time. You've got all the facts, you know what the problem is, and you're ready to get started. The trouble is that you can't seem to find the time to actually make any progress. So the improvements of the team needs the time and resources to meet routinely and toil through the issue methodically and accurately in order to generate a solution that will work and continue working. So in falling to provide enough time means the improving project falls down. So in problem solving, pag there is no time, wala gyud improvement ang mahitabo, wala process nga mahitabo because wala man siya time nga imong na-give sa pag-resolve sa usa ka problema. So we should avoid that. And last is you tackle the wrong cause. So addressing the wrong cause is a major issue with problem solving in businesses, particularly when teams are not given sufficient time and support to give the issue the attention it needs. With necessary time, the improvements team can look at all of the data and work to identify the root cause of the problem in order to fix it for good. So in problem solving, if you tackle the wrong cause and solving a problem, so mali po ang imuhang resolution because wrong man imuhang you tackle the wrong cause man. So avoid na siya. So you should tackle the exact cause of your problem so that the process of your resolution in problem solving, so naagi siya kapadulngan. So naa siya process. So and that would be all for my report, and thank you.
Force field analysis provides an overview of the balance between forces driving change and forces resisting change, and communicating the reasoning behind the decision. It was created by Kurt Lewin in the 1940s. Process of force field analysis. Step 1. Assess the current situation. You need to start the session by determining where you are at, the challenges you are facing due to the issue you are trying to solve, and the reaction of the employees. It is also important to clarify where you want to go or the desired state you want to achieve with the initiative. Step 2. Define the objective. The next step is to identify the expected outcome of the change initiative. Once you have clearly defined the goal, write it down inside the box in the middle of the page. Step 3. Identify the driving forces or the forces for change. Driving forces are the factors that are in favor of this proposed change or the ones that support the achievement of the defined goal. In this step, your task is to brainstorm as many driving forces as possible with the team and list them in the relevant field of the worksheet. This includes advancing technology, changing industry trends, increasing competition, opinions of customers or stakeholders, and incentives. Step 4. Identify the restraining forces or forces against change. These are the factors that will block your path to achieving your goal. They tend to restrict the impact of the driving forces. This may include the fear of individuals, organizational structures, and negative attitudes of employees. Step 5. Evaluate the forces. Evaluate the influence of each force by assigning them scores using a numerical scale. For example, number 10 being extremely strong and number 1 being extremely weak. Assign each force a score based on the impact they had on the change initiative. Step 6. Create an action plan. Based on how you want to go about strengthening driving forces and weakening restraining forces, you can create a quick action plan. This can help you clarify what needs to be done, who is responsible, the resources needed, and the due dates you need to be concerned about. In order for change to occur, the driving forces must exceed the restraining force. If there is an equilibrium between the two sets of forces, then there will be no change. This is how the force field analysis diagram looks like. That would be all. This is Ana Luhinon reporting.